In lesson 7-6, we are going to find the volume of pyramids and cones. All right, so the thing is with a pyramid or a cone, think about a pyramid as kind of like, a cousin to a prism. All right, so if I take a rectangular prism, kind of like this, and then I were to take a rectangular pyramid, okay, using the same size base rectangle, and now I'm going to make a pyramid out of it, okay, the volume the volume of the prism is going to be 3 times greater than the volume of a pyramid, okay, so let's say that the volume is x for the prism, then that means the volume would be 1/3 times x for the pyramid. Okay, so if the volume equals x, then the volume would equal 1/3 x. Okay, so if we think about our formula for volume of a prism, it was volume equals area of the base times the height. So in order to find the volume of a pyramid, we would do volume equals 1/3 times area of the base times the height. Okay, same thing with a cone. A cone is also 1/3 the size of a cylinder. So your formula for that would be very similar. So if we look at if we look at this slide here, it'd be 1/3 times area of the base times height. Well, area of the base is pi r squared, and then you have your height, so you have your 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at an example here. I'm going to move this to the side here a little bit. So if we say the volume equals 1/3, because I'm dealing with a pyramid, whenever you see the word pyramid or cone, we should be thinking 1/3 in terms of volume. Okay, so we have 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Now, the base here is a rectangle, so we have to look at our formula sheet, and we know that a rectangle would be the base times the height of the rectangle, or length times width of the rectangle. So we're going to do 7 times 3. And then the height of my pyramid would be this, we kind of call this an altitude. It's the dotted line that goes all the way down to the center of my base, and it has a right angle at the bottom, showing me that it's coming straight down. So that'll be 20 centimeters. So that's my height is 20 centimeters. Oh, excuse me here, I wrote 1/2. This needed to be 1/3. Okay, so the volume equals, all right, so now we can pull out our calculator since we have all of our formula here written out. So I'm going to do 7 times 3 times 20. Okay, now that would be the total if this were a prism. Now we're going to divide this by 3. Now dividing by 3 is the same as multiplying by 1/3. So dividing by 3, I'm going to get 140. So we have 140 centimeters cubed. All right, and that would be my volume. Again, a pyramid is 1/3 the volume of a prism. Okay, again, the prism would have to have the same exact base and the same height, but it's 1/3. If we filled this one with sand and poured it into a prism, we would have to pour it out 3 times in order to fill up that prism. All right, so with our pyramid, or excuse me, our cone, again the same thing. If we have the full cylinder here, and we said that the volume equals x, well then the volume of a cone with the same height and the same radius would be volume equals 1/3 x. Okay, so that's where we get this. Volume of a cylinder would be area of the base times the height, but now we're doing cones, so it's 1/3 times area of the base times the height. So let's do an example. We'll slide this thing over. Okay, so volume of a cone, again, cone and pyramid should make us think of 1/3. So volume equals 1/3 times area of the base times the height. So volume equals 1/3 times pi times r squared times h. So now we can substitute in. So 1/3 times 3.14 times r. Now r, this is the diameter right now. So we have to take 3 divided by 2, which would be 1.5. So I'm going to put 1.5 squared. And h is the height of my cone. Before they had it, that dotted line down here like this with a right angle symbol. They could show it like that, or they could show it like in this example here with this line on the outside. But either way, it's my height of my cone, so that's 8. All right, now that we have all the numbers plugged in, we can go to our calculator. So now, order of operations, I'm actually going to do 1.5 squared first. Okay, and then I'm going to multiply that by 3.14, and then I'm going to multiply that by 8. Okay, and so this would be the volume of a cylinder, but now we need to divide that by 3, which is the same as multiplying by 1/3. Okay, so I get 18.84. Now, if I round that to the nearest tenth, it's going to be 18.8. So we're going to have 18.8 meters cubed, because again, this is still volume, so we should have meters cubed for everything. All right, so again, the formula is not a whole lot different than our cylinder or prism formulas, except for that we have this 1/3 at the very beginning of it. So there's an example of how to find the volume of a pyramid, and then how to find the volume of a cone. So that's your examples for 7-6.